good old techie queen who can't even get that one right. That was a bit of a giggle. So thanks for those who helped me last week see that my audio was not even coming through. So this week, I think this is my favorite topic that I get to work with, or actually share with you, might be the better way to put it. It's the Q&A time. So my gorgeous Leslie looks after our sort of questions that come in. She goes and looks for some other questions. She goes and finds out some other sort of real obvious FAQs that people ask, because we want to give you such a broad spectrum of information about EFT and how to apply it, how to put it into all sorts of scenarios and all sorts of situations that you might find yourself in. So this is, as I said, this one is kind of my favorite. So if you are a person who has questions, feel free to direct message me on Messenger, send an email to hello@australiantappinginstitute.com.au, and we will make sure that your questions are answered either through private messaging, or we will make sure they are included here as well. So let's head into the questions. For those of you who don't know me, maybe I need to introduce myself. I am Lorna Hollander. I am the CEO and the founder of the Australian Tapping Institute. It is my baby, and it is just, I want to make sure it is the best EFT and life coach school on the planet. We're an online training academy, so you can come and train with us no matter where you are. And the day you enroll is the day you start. And on Monday, we are launching our advanced practitioner training. Now, advanced practitioner of EFT doesn't mean you have to do traditional 1, traditional 2 before you come to 3, which is this level, this advanced. We bring you straight in at the base level, and we teach you everything in the year, and we just roll it all up into one, and we make sure that you come out competent, confident, and able to work with your own clients. So if you're interested in EFT training and you want the best, you're like me, you go, don't give me a certificate 4. I want a, advanced diploma, because that's just what I'm like. Come and have a look at the advanced practitioner training. Now, it is advanced practitioner of EFT. Also get a bonus advanced practitioner certification as a life coach as well. That's much content in there. And we have business conversations. We talk about business. We talk about money. We talk about how you're going to create a sustainable lifestyle out of your business. We include all of that in the training. 2 seconds. Just feel something caught the back of my throat. So all of that is included in there, including you get 2 years of business mastermind with me once a month. Come and talk to me about your business, where it's up to, what are you doing, where are you up to, blah, 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 blah. And I will help you build your practice as well. So advanced practitioner certification coming on Monday. I might ask Leslie if you'll drop the link underneath the video anyway, so that you have that. Come and join us if EFT training's for you. Now, if you're not thinking advanced because you've already got maybe some life coach certification already, you've already got some stuff happening, or you've already got a business, look at the practitioner of EFT as a standalone product on its own. You come in, just work through pretty much the same. You just don't get all the life coaching, the business stuff, but you've already got that. So on to our questions. Question number 1. How does EFT serve as a compassionate guide to recovery? When you think about EFT tapping, we're talking tapping with a little thing on the end of our fingers, our own little hands. As a compassionate guide to recovery, the idea with EFT is it was created and developed for the layperson, for people to use it on themselves. It was never created for practitioners to use. It was developed for our own personal use. So the beauty of that is that means that when you're doing some of your own work, when you've got something coming up for yourself, or you're looking at things that have happened in your past that you want to resolve, get past, move over, clear away, you can go at that at a pace that suits you. So you might want to do 5 or 10 minutes a day. You may have journaled out some items that you would like to work on, and you can just go through them very, very gently. You might do 5 minutes today, 5 minutes tomorrow, 10 minutes the following week. Whatever it is for you, that's how it can be very compassionate. And we ask you to sit in a place of love for self. There's no berating, there's no getting angry, there's no hating on, nothing about yourself while you're going through your own recovery from whatever you've got going on. The idea is you have to come from a place of compassion for self. What other people have done and what they've said and all that is irrelevant. It's all off to the side. Just ignore all of that. But come from a place of compassion for yourself, that this is a journey for you. Some people hate that word, but it's a journey for you. You are going to move through what's bugging and bothering you at a slower pace. What are the core principles of EFT tapping in the context of supporting recovery? What are the core principles in tapping, context supporting recovery? So the core principles are, and this is the really, I guess, the extremely basic way to explain what we do. We look at what's the thought that's running through your head? So what thought are you having? Where does that show up in your body? If there is a reaction to that thought, because if you've got a thought, boom, you're reacted, you're activated, you're triggered, whatever your wording is, where does it turn up in your body? So we do a lot of body work. So where is that? If I have a thought about a fight that I had with goodness knows who, and suddenly I feel a little, I know it's pulling my throat, is something in my chest, is it my tummy, somewhere else, doesn't matter. When we can recognize what that is, we can then work with the body. So you may have the thought about something that someone said last week and you find in your throat, it doesn't feel all that good. It might be tight, it might be gummy. You might be thinking, like, I wish I'd said such and I didn't speak up. And I just wish I'd spoken up. If only I'd said such and such. If only I'd said the words. If only I'd had a voice. If only I felt safe enough to speak up. If only I felt empowered enough. But I didn't. I didn't say anything. I kind of chickened out. I just kept the peace. I didn't rock the boat. I just kept quiet. But maybe I should have said something. I wish I'd said something, but I didn't. And I'm going to give permission to my body to release hanging on to this. Nothing else I can do. The moment has passed. I didn't speak up. I can only do better next time. There's no point berating myself. Definitely should not be getting angry. I should be releasing this from my body, just letting it go, putting it in the past, knowing I can do better next time, knowing I have the ability to do better next time, capacity and the compassion for myself to do better next time. And then you'd go and you'd check back in with your throat. Notice it was just a little conversation with yourself of what you're already thinking anyway. So go through that in your mind. Go through I've had to bump my microphone. Go through what's going on for you. Oh, yeah, microphone's still working. So go through what you've just done. So just have a little dialogue. Tap through the points while you're having this dialogue in your own head, and it will clear the negative thoughts, the negative impacts that you're having around it. Now, if it's really stuck there and it's something you just can't get over, you might need to tap a bit longer. But notice that was just 3 rounds. It was focused on what was going on in the throat. I'd already identified it. Come back in and check in. Is it feeling better? It is a little bit better. If it's not, do an extra round or 2. But that's the way that you're going to use the core principles of tapping on yourself. You're going to use your body. Because remember my philosophy, the mouth and the brain can tell lies, the body can't because the reactions are too instantaneous. How does tapping differ from traditional therapeutic approaches in aiding recovery? One of the things I love about tapping is that it actually activates parts of the body and it actually activates our energy circuitry and it actually gets things moving. When we do some talk therapy, depending on what it is and depending who you're with, when we do some elements of talk therapy, there is an element of having capacity to re-traumatize. Now, I'll use myself an example. I know 20 plus years ago, whenever it was, beginning 2000, 2001 sort of thing, I went through a very messy separation and I went to a counselor. My very first time going to a counselor. Didn't know what they were, and off I went to see this woman. Now, back then, 20 years ago, I was paying her $100 a session, and I talked at her, and I talked at her, and I talked at her, and I got angrier and angrier and angrier. And all I did was continue to rehash and go over and over and over what I was feeling. Nothing got processed, nothing got shifted, nothing got moved. It just didn't. And I spent a lot of money on re-traumatizing myself. With tapping, if I was to do that and I was to do that talking at her, turking at her, while I was tapping at the same time, there would be an element of my unconscious mind would be processing and releasing a lot of what I was angry about. There would have been an activation of the meridians. There would have been an activation of shifting the energy. But without it, There wasn't. And so, as I said, all it was is I just got angrier and angrier and turned into more and more of a victim because I didn't have this, right? And so this is a really good point. If you're feeling yourself just bugged, bothered, activated about something, just tap here. Just tap here. You can do it flat-handed. You can do it with just the fingertips. I tend to like the fingertips here. Sometimes it's a little bit further out. People do this. Does not matter. Just do the points, right? Just tap yourself through that. So I guess that's how it's the main way. It's different to other therapeutic approaches. It is the ability to have the talk, to verbalize, to acknowledge, and to speak your truth anyway while you're doing something with it. What are the ways EFT tapping can be integrated into a comprehensive recovery plan? Part of your recovery plan would be making sure that you're clear on what some of the issues are that you want to deal with, that they're not issues that are going to traumatize you or re-traumatize you too much, that they're sort of you have the ability, you have the skills to be able to work through them. And I guess the emotional stability to start with, to work through some of them. So as part of your recovery plan, you will want to include X number of minutes of tapping a day. Now, it may be 5 minutes, it may be 10 minutes, maybe something you do before you go to bed, something you do when you wake up in the morning. It may be something that you sit down with a journal as a planned activity that tapping can be used. Because remember, it's about the activating and get rid of the triggers and the activations in the thoughts that you're having anyway. What role does compassion play in the effectiveness of tapping for individuals in recovery? Compassion for self is paramount. There is no point beating yourself up, belittling, degrading, denigrate, any of those words. There was no point doing any of that while you're working yourself through what's happened in the past. It's done, it's over. You can't fix it, you can't change it. There is nothing you can do about it. So there's no point in having that negativity towards yourself. Use some compassion in that sometimes you might not get to the core of the issue that you've got going on. Sometimes you just might not get to where you need to be from an emotional standpoint, and that's okay. Be kind to yourself while you're going through this. If you get completely stuck or you find yourself stuck on some things, look up a practitioner such as myself. Come and work with someone like me. On our website, there is at australiantappinginstitute.com.au. There is a list of our practitioners on there that we have certified, that we highly recommend. Go and you work with one of those that's maybe closer to you, works online, but go and find them and get some work and get some support in just getting over the hump that you're on, and then you might be good to go on your own again. How can tapping address emotional and psychological challenges commonly faced in the recovery process? In the recovery process that you're going to go through, whatever you've had going on, there are definitely going to be some emotional issues in there. Now, some are going to be very obvious what they are. What I find when I work with people, say, for example, people who have been through something that's quite a traumatic event, what I will find is there is multiple elements and layers to the event that they've got going on. It may be the shock point of exactly what happened. So it may be the initial impact, whether it was something happened to their physical body or they saw something or something was said, whatever that point is that you initially, got taken aback by. There are going to be those. Plus, there's then going to be the story you created about yourself or what that event meant about you that you hang on to as well. So the tapping that you're going to be doing is multi-layered. Now, the psychological challenges are going to be, as I said, your ability to have emotional stability enough to do the work on yourself versus you may want to come and spend a little bit of time with a practitioner like myself, get a couple of sessions in to get over the hump, and then be able to go back out and do the work by yourself. You don't have to spend, gosh, hours and hours and months in therapy with EFT. That is definitely not what we are about. We may recommend 3 or 4 sessions to start with a practitioner to, as I said, get you on the road, get you over the hump, get you ready to go and get you started in the process versus others that you just see a therapist for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and years on end that people go. So tapping is going to be used for any of the negative thoughts you have coming up, the ideas that come through your head, anything that comes through your head, you can tap on. I said you may need some support from a practitioner, but gauge that as you go along. Are there specific populations or conditions for which EFT tapping is particularly beneficial in guiding recovery? Specific populations and conditions. I mean, we advocate that tapping should get used on everything. That does not mean that EFT is going to cure, clear, fix everything. It's that's not the assumption that we're going to make. What we are going to make is, though, that if you get to the root cause of what's going on, you will be able to clear it at that level. And once you clear it at that level, the impacts of today are going to be different. Again, if we talk about someone who's had some sort of trauma, if we can go back to the traumatic event and help them to release what's going on for them, or what did go on for them, what the event was, what was the shock point, what was the specific point in that event that really triggered them, we can then help them to shift the impacts of that in today, because it is, we go back to the past, we go back to events, we go back to core issues, so that your today, your what's happening for you today is significantly different. We all know you can't change the past, can't change 5 minutes ago, let alone what happened 10 years ago. But we can take out the reactions in the body to that. So specific conditions or specific populations, depending on what your issue is, if you're dealing with, so we're going through trauma training at the moment, so I can use some examples from, we've got a 6-week trauma course that we're running, which is teaching EFT and other healers, EFT practitioners and other healers, how to work with their clients who have experienced different types of traumas. So if we think about in that space, someone who's had, for instance, a car accident, if we think of them in, are they specific population, perhaps, are they specific condition, perhaps, it's the ability to get into the different elements of it and into the core of it, of what all the different aspects of that event were. If it was a car accident, is it the car coming towards you? Is it seeing the car? Is it the moment you woke up after the accident? Is it you woke up in hospital? What is the shock point element of that for you that you can then do tapping on? I'm trained in a particular trauma technique, and the teacher that we had in that technique was fabulous. And she gave a story. She worked in a war zone in, I think it was Bosnia. So it was certainly one of those European countries that it had been through some sort of conflict in, sadly more recent times. She worked with some people there, and it'd been a bomb that had gone off. And she was working with people who'd experienced trauma in that space. The man that she used in her example he had been in a bomb event. He had been taken out of the event and he'd been taken to a hospital. Now, his biggest shock point was when he looked down half an hour later and noticed he was bleeding. That was the biggest shock for him in what had been, what the rest of us would think, oh, wow, you've been in a bomb blast. That would be fairly significant. But the biggest part for him was recognizing his hurt, recognizing his cut, recognizing the injury to his own body a while later. So yes, they would have worked on the bomb stuff, but if they didn't work on that, I'm injured, they didn't work on that spot, there would always be an element of trigger and response in his body to this actual event of what part of was his shock point. So that's what you're going to be able to do with your tapping. You want to get to the core issues. Can tapping be used as a self-help tool or more effective under the guidance of a practitioner? EFT tapping was created for your own little hands on your own body. It was created as a self-help tool. It was never developed by Gary Craig to be a practitioner. Us practitioners came later. Now, the reason we came later was, or the reason that we are effective and we are part of your toolkit, part of the healing journey for you, is the human brain has one job: keep this organism alive. Anything that represents a threat to this life, to this body, to this organism, the brain has been wired to take us out of that. When it was tigers wanting to eat us, snakes wanting to eat us, anything else that wanted to eat us and actually kill us, that part of the brain was super effective. It got us out of there, boom, quick, smart, blood running, let's run, let's get out of here. Now, when in today's society, we don't have, generally speaking, in the Western world, anything that wants to eat us. Sure, we can have accents and things, but there's generally not anything that you turn a corner and it wants to eat you. So when we have incidents and events that have happened, some of them are really easy to work on yourself. Some of them are so easy that you can just put it into your journal. You can work out what it is. You can talk to yourself and ask questions. And what does this remind me of? And what is this all about? Oh, when was the first time I remember feeling that? You could do that on your own. Depending on what the event, you may not get to that core because I said the brain's job is to keep you alive. When you're in a space where you're in some sort of trauma or you're in some sort of fight or flight, the brain can't function at that level. So it's not going to let you get into the part of the event that your brain's locked away. So you might need a practitioner who's going to come and work on what you've got locked away, the little bit that's locked away. And you might do 1, 2, 3 sessions on the bits that are locked away, get down into the root cause. And then it's like, oh, I feel so much better. And then you will continue your healing journey on your own, perhaps. You will have your journal, you'll have your tapping routines, and you'll go through some stuff on your own. So both of them are very beneficial depending on where you're up to and what you've got going on and how easy you're able to get to the root cause. Personally, I still have EFT sessions with practitioners. I still spend time with them because I can, because I've always got things that come up that are more deep-seated than I ever thought they could be, that are interconnected that you don't realize. All of those keep coming up. So don't be afraid to go and use a practitioner. It's a couple of sessions. You will not be locked in for life. It'll be amazing how releasing some of the past stuff can just turn your life around today. It really, really can. Does tapping promote mindfulness and self-awareness in the recovery journey? What tapping will help you to do is to get grounded. Tapping can help you just by sitting and just, I am safe. I am safe. I am safe. Most of our triggers for life, most of our activations come from a place of I don't feel safe. Whether it's the memory doesn't feel safe, what happened in the moment doesn't feel safe, but they all come from a place of safety. So if you are tapping here and breathing and reminding your body that you are safe, or I am okay, or I am fine, that will help to bring those cortisol levels down and help to bring that stress response all the way down. And that's what you want. The more of those you have, the calmer moments you have, the better off it's going to be for you in the longer term, because you don't want your brain in a chronic state of fight or flight. It is unhealthy for all of us to be in that state. Does tapping contribute to breaking negative thought patterns and promoting positive mindset shifts during recovery? So tapping is going to definitely break those negative thought patterns. In EFT tapping, we do a lot of negative talk. We talk about the negatives. We talk about the things that are bugging and bothering. We do a lot of talking about the negative stuff because it's what you're thinking anyway. It's the thought running through your head anyway. And that's why we stay with the negative so we can clear it. There is no point band-aiding with the positive stuff of, oh, everything's so wonderful and everything's fine and I don't want to think about that anymore. That's only going to work for so long. That's a band-aid. What you want is to go into the negative thought patterns. Get clear on what your thought patterns are. Get clear on when they're not so good. God, my mum rang and I reacted this way and I really shouldn't do that anymore. So get in underneath it. What is that? What is it about when your mum rings? What is the stress response? What is the activation? Is it that she triggers you back to being a child? Is it because she always speaks with a tone to you? Or, oh, she always asks way too many questions and I feel cornered by her. I feel interrogated, intimidated. Get underneath it. Find out what it is underneath for yourself. And then you can work on that. So if it's, I feel like I'm still a child with her and I'm back to 6 when she used to shout at me, do some tapping on that. That thing that she used to say to me when I was 6, and she used to shout all the time. Didn't matter what I did, I got it wrong. My body still reacts. My body still remembers what it was like when I was 6. This thing that she says to me, whenever I see her name on the phone, it makes me think and feel back to being 6. God, what is it this time? What have I done wrong this time? What is she going to tell me off for this time? Every time, what is she going to tell me off for? What have I done now? and just talk to yourself all the way through on that little conversation of what it felt like to be 6 and release the activation. And I'm not suggesting you need to be thrilled every time your mother rings you. That's up to you. That's for you and your mum to sort out. I personally don't have one. I would love for my mum to ring and berate me. However, digressing, once you've done the negative stuff, once you've got underneath that negative stuff and figured out this is what it is when my mum rings me, then you can start to look at the positive stuff. How would I rather feel? What would I love to have happen when my mum rings me? What would I love to have my body feeling when she rings me? Would I like to feel happy and joyful? How would that feel like? What does that feel like? Get your body into that. So you're going to use it for getting underneath the stuff that bugs you and bothers you. And then it may be your mum's ringing, you see the name on the phone, you go, it's going to be a wonderful conversation. I'm so looking forward to engaging with her and talking to her and enjoying her company. So there you go, some tips, hints, tools, techniques, and some advice and support on how you're going to use tapping in, I guess, what we've labeled today as the recovery journey, on whatever that looks like for you. I have been so thrilled to be able to be here with you this week. It's been lovely. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I will see you all very, very soon. And remember, send in any questions that you have, and we will pull together some questions and we will answer them here for you. Send us a direct message. And don't forget to click on the link to be a practitioner or to look at what does a practitioner look like for you. Hey, we'd love to welcome you into that. It'd be advanced EFT, and you don't have to go through all the levels. We just enroll you straight into there and bring you on through. Life coaching is thrown in with that as well, and business conversations and business modules. If that's not for you, look at our standard EFT training. If you've already got a business and you're already rocking it there and you want an extra tool, go and jump into that course. You will still come into beginners and everything with our advanced people. You all just coming together. You just get to a stage where you'll kind of peel off and continue the courses separately. But come on in, come join us. It's just wonderful how many people we've had joining lately. We are super, super excited, and we will wish you best, and I will see you next week.